I'm here to give you all my final prediction on how the 2022 midterms are going to turn out. Now, there is some good and some bad to this. Just warning you, just giving you a heads up. Now, where I think, I'm going to tell you what I think for certain states. For example, so here in my state with Michigan, the governor's race, we don't have a Senate race this year, but we do have a governor's race. Gretchen Whitmer, who is the incumbent Democrat, versus Republican Tudor Dixon. I believe Whitmer is going to pull that one off. I believe she'll get reelected. In the state of Florida, we have the incumbent Republican governor, Ron DeSantis. He's going up against Democrat Charlie Crist. There are a lot of polls that indicate that that's a toss-up, but it seems like DeSantis is still in the lead in other polls, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets reelected. As far as the Florida Senate, we have Val Demings versus Marco Rubio. That's kind of a toss-up, but still leans towards Rubio, so I wouldn't be surprised if DeSantis and Rubio keep their spots. In Arizona, we have Katie Hobbs versus Carrie Lake for the governorship. It's a toss-up there. Whoever wins is definitely not going to be a landslide, so whoever wins is probably going to be by 1 percentage point. Obviously, I'm rooting for Hobbs, and obviously I'm rooting for the Democrats in all these races that I'm describing. For the Senate race, we have Mark Kelly versus, I believe his name is Blake Masters, and all polls indicate that it's leaning to Mark Kelly, so I'm pretty sure he'll get reelected there. In the state of Texas, Beto O'Rourke versus Greg Abbott. Unfortunately, Abbott has been leading most of the polls, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets reelected. Beto ran a great campaign. He got his name out there a lot more, especially ever since having run against Ted Cruz in 2018. We have Georgia, the governorship, Stacey Abrams versus Brian Kemp. I've talked to a number of people. It seems like it's a toss-up there, but the last poll indicated that Kemp was in the lead. So, unfortunately, that might go to him. I don't know how Stacey's campaign didn't pick up the momentum and the energy that was anticipated. I mean, she did an amazing job campaigning for Ossoff and Warnock in 2020. She helped grow some more blue in Georgia. For the Senate race in Georgia, we have Raphael Warnock versus Herschel Walker. My prediction is that Warnock is going to get reelected and defeat Walker. Where else? In the state of California, I'm pretty sure that's obvious that California is the one state I'd never have to worry about, but I'll just say it anyway. Gavin Newsom, who's the Democratic governor out there, who's running against Brian Dahl, Republican. Gavin Newsom is polling at 61% and Brian Dahl is at 31%. So I'm pretty sure we know how that's going to turn out. In the state of New York, we have Kathy Hochul. I can't think of the name of the Republican who's running against her, but it was pretty close with them, but everything kind of indicates that it's still going to lean to her because she was the vice governor under Andrew Cuomo, who was the former governor who had to resign for certain reasons. As far as the federal, and also, I'm sorry, there's also a governor's race going on in Massachusetts. And I'm pretty sure the Democrats going to win out there. They have a Republican governor now, but, I mean, he's kind of a centrist. So, I mean, it's easy for a Democrat to win out there. As far as the Congress and the Senate, I predict that we're going to pick up 2 seats in the Senate. So, in Ohio and Pennsylvania, in Ohio, we have Tim Ryan versus J.D. Vance, where Tim Ryan is just barely in the lead. And in Pennsylvania, you have John Fetterman, who is just barely in the lead against Mehmet Oz. My prediction is that Fetterman and Tim will win their respective spots. In Wisconsin, we have Mandela Barnes versus Ron Johnson. That's a toss-up there, so anything is possible with that. Also in Ohio, there's a governor's race down there. Now, oddly enough, in Ohio, the Democrat is in the lead for the Senate, while the Republican is in the lead for governor. I'm not quite sure why or how that is. We also have an Oregon governor's race. And I've talked about that in another video. Now, the Democratic opponent, the Oregon governor's race, Tina Kotek versus Christine Drazen. We have a third-party candidate who's gained a lot of traction there, and I don't know if it's splitting the ticket more so on the Republican side or more so on the Democrat side, because I didn't really look at that third-party candidate. I'm going to assume that that's a toss-up, and anything's possible with that. Unfortunately, there is a toss-up in a lot of areas. So Democrats are definitely projected to win certain areas, while Republicans are going to win others. My ultimate prediction in regards to the U.S. Congress, I think we'll be able to just hold on to the Congress. We might possibly gain one seat. If there's any Republican congressperson who has a chance of losing her seat, it's Lauren Boebert in Colorado. More and more people are expressing disgust and dislike over her. And like I said, for the Senate, I sense that we'll pick up at least 2 seats. I suspect that, as I said, Tim Ryan and Jen Feiderman are going to win their seats. And Mandela Barnes may have a shot in Wisconsin, which is even better. Unfortunately for Kentucky, there's no more hope there. I mean, Charles Booker was only at 40%, while his opponent, Rand Paul, was at 55%. And nobody really focused on that race. They haven't done a poll since January. That was the last recorded poll they did. So unfortunately, Rand Paul gets reelected there. I'm pretty sure everybody's already called that by now. I think they called that months ago. So, I mean, my official prediction on it is we'll gain at least 2 or 3 seats in the Senate and just barely keep the House. And even with the 2 or 3 seats gained, that's going to help President Biden a lot because he'll have more senators on his side, so therefore he'll be able to pass more things. So, I mean, that's kind of what I see here, folks. If there's any election or states that I've forgotten, it's kind of difficult for me to monitor in all 50 states. So all I say is, you don't have to take my word for it. It's just my guess. It's just a theory. I mean, some of you might have opposing views, or some of you were probably looking at this, and some of you probably don't even care. But that's all right. So that's just my prediction right there. And we'll see what happens on Tuesday night / Wednesday morning.